When you look back, when you look back at your career sometimes, even when you've enjoyed such a fruitful and of course very engaging life, can't believe some of the people that you spoke to, met, spent time with. It's just the nature of the job. And I also think when you are in the world of show business, you forget sometimes that people are not necessarily as lucky as you are being at the front seat of historical events, whether it be the Platinum Jubilee, the coronation, stuff like that. You are there and you're in a privileged position of seeing, yes, what you're seeing on the television, but literally right in front of you. And it got me thinking, because I can't believe that it's over 20 years now since, sadly, the tragic passing of John F. Kennedy Jr. And when you think about it, it's a terrible thing, because you sort of remember him as, particularly my age bracket, and I'm sure many people do, as a sort of playboy prince. He was the person that was the glamour boy of that particular era, or none more so, of course, in the 1980s. And having that name, that dynasty attached to him was, well, very, very useful indeed. But what was interesting, I wanted to share this with you, going through documents and stuff like that, when you do from time to time, and you think, wow. Now, my association with Mr. Kennedy was simply this. You see, way back in the late 1990s, I was working for various channels and was mainly an entertainment reporter. And the job involved interviewing some of the biggest names, literally, on the planet of the time, as you can imagine. I was lucky enough, as many people know, to get what I call the latter end of the golden era of Hollywood. It was just sensational to be able to have that moment, to do that. Now, you see, Mr. Kennedy had decided to open a glitzy magazine called George, and I'd never heard of it. You see, you've got to remember, the internet's in its infancy. So, you're not able to just look at things the way we are today. And when I got the call through about the initial discussion, I thought, well, I've never heard of this magazine. And remember the other magazines of that era, like Wallpaper, Index, The Face, all of that. These were magazines that you needed to be seen with to be cool, didn't you? The cool people, as it were. Now you just wouldn't give away the money, would you? You prefer to read something more nostalgic. George was going to take on the mantle of the world of celebrity culture, and you name it. It was going to be big business, Now, what happened was that the editorial team of George contacted the channel that I was working for to see if I wanted to write up some of the interviews of the big names that I was interviewing at the time. As I say, everybody from Arnold Schwarzenegger, Bruce Willis, right through to some of the elder statesmen of Hollywood and states like Liza Minnelli. But the problem that I had with it was they wanted sensationalist stuff. So, kind of were they hiding secrets from the moment that you walked in the room? So the thing you see on the telly, as many people know, when the other day they caught me out having a sneaky cough, all thanks, of course, to the pollen, I forgot to edit it out. But this is what happens behind the scenes. The slicker productions you don't always see. So what happened was this. I spoke literally to the editorial team of George, and they explained what they wanted to do, and back and forth, there was an offer to go to New York, discuss it in more detail. But you see, you could sense that actually Mr. Kennedy really wanted to be sensationalist. The story goes that he wanted Madonna, his then girlfriend at the time, to dress up as his late mother so that people would be shocked that it was Madonna as, of course, his mother Jackie. Strange thing, don't you think? He also tried to get a major interview with the late and beautiful Princess Diana, but for some reason she turned him down also. Now, what happened was I did have a phone call with Robert, and, got on very well. And he said, I'm a big admirer of your work, very much a charming man. Do you know what I'm saying? But my feeling was that I didn't necessarily like the idea, because obviously I was working for a news channel and I didn't necessarily want to reveal the innermost problems. If people, of course, spoke to you off camera, it should remain like that, because if it's a private matter, I don't know, catching somebody smoking, they say they don't feel very well. There were so many stories behind the scenes that you're not really allowed to say, because first of all, it wouldn't be a gentleman, and secondly, you wouldn't want it doing to yourself. But the bigger problem was this. He actually wanted me to send some work through, and then he would sort of check it and see if he felt it would be suitable for the magazine. He was rather stunned when I said, well, how about sending the magazine to me so I can see if my work would be suitable for that? And he laughed, because obviously he couldn't believe my cheeky northernness, as it were. But sadly, the whole deal sort of fell apart simply because George was not a success. They didn't have the backing, the advertisers or the money. And it just goes to show, doesn't it? Even with the most well-connected person at the helm, not everything turns out to be a huge success. Sadly, I enjoyed my time chatting with him. I thought he was an absolute debonair playboy and certainly fitted the part and the bill. But for him, life definitely was a tragic ending. My feeling was, though, that he actually enjoyed his life, all the problems as well. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.